friends. Hello, hi, how are you? I hope you guys are having an amazing day today. Hello, hi. So I was just planning out and, oh, candle of the day. Candle of the day is white pumpkin. I'm allowing fall to exist for a moment, okay? I feel like fall, it's one of my favorite seasons, just like aesthetic wise. Christmas is like my time. Like that's where I thrive. But aesthetically, fall is wonderful. So I'm really trying to give fall her moment this year. I'm not trying to rush through too soon. Am I already listening to Christmas music? I started on November 1st. For candles, I'm trying to give fall candles their moment. So we have white pumpkin today. Today's video, I have been prepping for this thing I do on my channel called Glowmas, where I upload a video every day in December. And for Glowmas this year, I have a lot of makeup content planned because that's what I usually do. I have videos that I've done like every year since I started Glowmas that are like makeup videos. I was really excited to film them and I've been filming them. And I realized while prepping for Glowmas and filming all of these videos that I actually really miss making makeup content. Like I took a break for a little while. I was like, I'm just gonna step back for a moment. But I miss makeup content a lot and I have a lot of fun filming it. Being able to film it in a different headspace than I was in this summer has been really nice because I just like actually like it. I don't feel pressured to do these like random videos now. I can just do them if I want to. And that's the if I could only keep one sort of makeup tag. It's not really a tag. It's literally just if all of my makeup was destroyed, if all of my makeup were to fall off a cliff, which ones would I desperately want to save from the carnage? And that is what I'm gonna be telling you guys today. I feel like this is kind of an interesting tag because it's not necessarily my like favorite makeup of all time. Some of it is, but some of it's much more strategic of just like what I think I would need to use on a daily basis. So yeah, let's jump into that. Primer was probably the hardest one to pick in all of the categories, simply because with primer, number one, I usually use more than one primer. Like on most days, I'm using some sort of hydrating primer, then I'm going in with some sort of pore filling primer to kind of fill everything in and give it that like really nice base. So it's very rare that I just use one primer. So having to pick one primer, shockingly difficult. And I feel like in years past, my answer to this always varies, but as of right now, the product that I think would serve me the best for how I like to do my makeup currently is the Pretty Filter Glassy Skin Balm from Touch in Sol. You can buy this at pretty much, I think I got this at like a CVS, and it's a little expensive for drugstore stuff. I think it's like $30, which for what you would find in the drugstore, it's kind of surprising, but Touch in Sol is one of those brands that's also sold at like Sephora, and they're also in like CVS, so it's kind of interesting. But this stuff, I love it so much. I love this stuff so much. I use this, you can see I'm like running kind of low on this. I use this all of the time. It's just got such a nice sort of like whipped texture that really hydrates the skin and also gives you this sort of like beautiful, you can see, just glow. Like it gives you this, this is really showing up. I'm so happy. Sometimes stuff on camera doesn't translate. I'm glad you can see what my skin looks like after I put this on. Gives you this gorgeous, beautiful glow that isn't like a strobing cream. Like it's not crazy intense, but I find if you use even foundation over this, your skin still has that really beautiful, stunning, just sort of like glow from within to it that I've been loving. And because it's so hydrating, it also makes your skin just feel really good. It makes powders and all those other things go onto it really, really nicely because your skin just feels great. It is not the best at pore filling. Like I would definitely be a little sad without a pore filling primer, but the pore filling stuff I usually only do in like my T-zone, like this area right here in my nose. So I do feel like I could get away without doing it. It's more just like personal preference. I would rather have the entirety of my face look really glowy and hydrated. I'm obsessed with that reflection. It's really phenomenal. The rest of my face look and feel just really glowy. That's just been how I've liked doing my makeup. And the other thing is this, when it dries down, it does have a tiny bit of sort of, it is not like, the best thing I can think of when I think of like a sticky primer is the Milk Hydro Grip, which that primer, I do like it, but that primer it's like glue. Like that primer is very sticky. This just gives you a little bit of tackiness, which I find helps my makeup last all throughout the day as well. So not only does it make my skin have this really pretty glow, but on top of that, I know that when I put products on top of them, they're not really gonna go anywhere. Oh, I can't speak highly enough about this product. I think it's wonderful. Okay, next. Weirdly, I think base products were the hardest of this whole thing. Which is so funny because when I used to do videos like this, I feel like the hardest things for me to pick were like highlighters, blushes, eyeshadow palettes. Like those were really hard for me. I think it just kind of speaks to the way that makeup trends have changed a lot, at least for me personally. Like I used to be way more focused on eyeshadows and glitters and, you know, highlighters, and that was like my thing. And now I feel like I'm so much more focused on making my skin look really good. My base is so much more important to me, and everything else is just kind of an afterthought. So for my base, for a foundation, I actually went with something that is kind of interesting. This is technically a tinted moisturizer, which I think is a surprising choice because you think tinted moisturizer and you think like zero coverage. No, no, no. This is the NARS Pure Radiant Tinted Moisturizer. I know that this is a relatively old product. It's a new product in my life. I cannot speak highly enough about this formula. Like I cannot say enough good things about this. It's phenomenal. You can absolutely build up to at least a medium coverage, if not a full coverage, if you really wanted to put it on. It blends into the skin like butter. Like it blends so easily, so seamlessly. I have 3 of these currently, like all in different shades. Because I was using this like crazy in the summer when I was more tan, and then I ordered lighter shades for when I like got untanned, which has happened now. Really like this, number one, because I do feel like it minimizes pores. So kind of how I talked about with the primer, I wouldn't have anything to sort of fill my pores in with. This definitely does help with minimizing pores. And on top of that, it just gives you this really beautiful skin-like finish, which is what I am always trying to achieve with any sort of foundation. And I think tinted moisturizers are a great way to do that. They don't make you feel cakey or like you're wearing a mask. It's still your skin, just like an elevated version of your skin. And of all the BB creams, CC creams, tinted moisturizers I've tried, this one is by far my favorite. It works so ridiculously well. And like I said, for the purpose of this, where this would be like my only one, you definitely can build it up to be a little bit more full glam, or you can do way less and have it be like a really genuine, just tinted moisturizer, like something that's really subtle and really light. So I find this to be a really versatile product, which I can appreciate. This is genuinely probably my absolute favorite foundation at this moment in time. Like this is gold. I use it so much. Next, I feel like I've talked a lot about this product, so I don't want to harp on it too much, but the Makeup Forever Ultra HD Concealer is truly my like ride or die concealer. Like that is what this is. Like I have a bunch of concealers. I use different ones all the time. I love to try new stuff out. The Makeup Forever Ultra HD has like stood the test of time. The last time I can remember being this obsessed with a concealer for this long was I went through this phase where I was obsessed with the Hello Fab Bendy Avocado Concealer. If you remember that phase where I was obsessed with those, you've been around a really long time. But then I transitioned into this one, and it's almost like that product, but just a little bit more coverage, which is why I think I ended up liking this more. This is, I believe, my 3rd one of these. I've bought a lot of these. I go through these like crazy because I use them so much, because if I'm ever looking in my drawer and I'm in a rush and I'm just like, okay, I need something that I know is going to make my under eyes look good, this is always the product I grab. It has a really perfect texture in my opinion. It's not super thick, like say the Tarte Shape Tape. It's not like that, but it's also not like super light. Like I'm thinking of like the Maybelline Age Rewind concealer, how that has like almost like a whipped light texture. It's like that perfect middle consistency of having enough coverage without providing cake. I love a full coverage concealer. Like I would say this is probably medium to full. I love a caked full coverage concealer. Like I wish that I could do Tarte Shape Tape because I think people look beautiful when they use it, but I have very crinkly eyes. They are the most problematic part of my face. My eyes are just so crinkled. I feel like you can't really see it on camera because of the lights. They do me a lot of favors, but my under eyes are really, it's a mess, okay? I find that for my crinkly under eyes, this is the best concealer that I have ever used. It doesn't get, if you can hear my dog barking, I'm so sorry. There's a corgi that my 2 dogs are having a beef with. I don't know what to tell you. There's a corgi down the road that they're fighting with. This doesn't get stuck in any of my crinkles. It's super easy to blend out. It definitely gives a lot of coverage, especially if you have dark circles like I do. That's why I say it's more medium to full. And it just gives you, similarly to the NARS, this very skin-like look on your under eyes. It doesn't make things too textured, doesn't make things too weird, doesn't break apart super easily. Like I am an eye rubber, even with makeup on, and it lasts throughout my consistent pulling at my face. Overall, 10 out of 10. This is definitely, I would say that this this and the NARS are kind of like my dream combo for a foundation concealer that I've been using all of the time lately, because they're just kind of the two most reliable products for me. Like, I know if I'm grabbing for those, I'm going to have a good base makeup day. Next, powder. This one was also tough. My initial sort of gut feeling was to go with the Fenty Beauty powder in butter, because I love that powder. It's a loose powder. I've loved it since they launched it. It's such a good powder. Like, I can't speak highly enough about it. However, recently someone else has kind of stolen my heart when it comes to powder, and that is the Charlotte Tilbury Magic powder. Okay, when I first got this, I thought it was a little overrated. Here's why. I was using a sponge to press this in, which is how I usually use all of my loose powders, especially because mostly I only really use loose powder under my eyes, around my nose, and kind of around my chin area, maybe on my forehead just a tiny bit, but I don't use loose powder all over my face. So when I use loose powder, I would pick up a sponge and I would really pack it in and I would like go for it, right? And I remember when I got this, I was kind of disappointed because I was like, everybody hypes up this powder and it's like not really working well for me. Like, this isn't going great. Like, I didn't like the way it made my eyes look, gave me kind of a weird texture under my eyes. So I stopped using it for a while, and then one day I started using it again, but I started using, I randomly, don't know why I did this. I was like, what if I try it with a brush? Like, what if I just try to like sweep everything around and see how that goes? Oh my God, magic powder, hello. It literally, like, use a brush. You have to use a brush. If you try to use a sponge, I think it's because of the texture of the powder. I think because it's a little bit thicker than my Fenty one or some of the other ones that I really like. Because it's a little bit thicker, I think when you try to pack it in, it just cakes up in all of the sort of creams that you've just put on. Whereas if you try to just sort of lightly dust it in the places you want powder, it sets beautifully. Gorgeous. I normally don't love a thick powder. Like, you guys know, I don't love the flour consistency of powders, but this one, something, I don't know what the magic is, but it's true. Like, it literally makes my under eyes look airbrushed, like flawless. Even if I'm having a rough skin day, this makes my under eyes look so beautiful. And the thing I love about this is that as far as, oh my God, I just made a huge mess. What'd you say? I'm wearing all black today. And I think the reason that this beat out a lot of my other powders, because I do have a lot of other powders that I really like, not just the Fenty one. Like, I have a lot of powders I enjoy. The reason I think this beats it out is because I notice when I wear this, the lasting power of my makeup is genuinely better. Like I said, I touch my face all day. I pick at my face all day. When I'm wearing makeup all day, it's usually by the end of the day completely off my face. Like, I am not good at keeping makeup on my face. I find that when I use this, the places that I used this on, like my under eyes in particular and my nose, it just lasts so much longer. And because I use this with a brush and everything, and I'm a little bit more light-handed with it, I find that when I'm trying to go for a more natural look, this powder allows me to have that more natural look, whereas other powders can sometimes almost amp up a look and make you look a little bit more caked. This does not do that. So that is the reason that this ultimately won, if I could only pick one. Okay, now for face products. First, we have bronzer, and again, this was a tough one for me, but I decided ultimately to go with the NARS Laguna bronzer. Now, again, this is a rebuy. I've bought this multiple times. I feel like you're sensing a theme here of when I rebuy stuff, that means I really love it. I was talking about this with my friend the other day. I was like, I never rebuy things. Like, it is especially makeup. It is very rare that I rebuy makeup products. And it's really just because if I run out of something, usually something new has come and I'm excited to try it. So I just buy something new. Like, it's kind of the cycle of how I do things. So I'm not really a makeup rebuyer. Like, I love trying new products. So if I rebuy something, it's because I love it. This is the NARS Laguna. The reason she won is not even because it's like my favorite bronzer of all time. I have other bronzers that I really enjoy and like. The reason this won is because I think overall, if I'm thinking like rest of my life, what bronzer am I going to want to reach for? Such a neutral color for me personally, and it matches my skin tone so nicely and pairs with my skin tone so nicely that I can easily use a lighter hand when I'm a little bit fairer, or if I'm a little bit tanner, I can go a little bit more heavy-handed and really layer it, and it still shows up, gives that really nice contour to it. I also think the formula on this is phenomenal. The lasting power is great. The way it blends is great. It has just a touch of a glow to it, so it's not like super glowy. Like, you're not gonna have a, what's that one I used to have? The Milani Baked Radiance. That was like gold in a compact. You're not gonna have like a crazy glow from your bronzer, but you're also not gonna have complete matte, nothing, no dimension or anything like that there, which for me personally is like a little middle ground. Like I love when a bronzer can be a little bit glowy without being too much. I feel like a glowy bronzer has a place and time, don't get me wrong. Like in the summertime, I love a glowy bronzer. But if we're talking about only having one, this is definitely the one I would go for. Blush. I went with a surprising pick for blush. Most of these products are old products, like products I've been using for a long time. For blush, I've just very recently fallen in love with this product, and it's the only one I ever want to reach for, so I grabbed it, and that is the Pat McGrath Labs in Nude Venus. Okay, first of all, this shade, immaculate. Like this color of a blush in general, I love a pale pink for everyday use. It is my absolute go-to. This one in particular, because the formula, if I could design a blush, it would be this formula. It is not too pigmented, so you're not having to like tap off your brush a million times or really blend it in, or like you put it on and you're like, oh shit, what did I just do? Like it gives you that perfect amount of pigment where it's not too much, but it's not so subtle that you have to go digging in your pan a million times in order to get any sort of product coming out from it. I think some people really don't mind having to like work for a product. I'm not that type of person. I really like when makeup just works for me, works for my schedule, doesn't take a super long time, all of those things. I really love when that can happen. And this product in particular, it's just such an easy use. You pull it out, you go. The only thing that's not easy about it is sometimes the compact confuses me because there's this little clasp. Sometimes it doesn't work. So that's the only downside, is sometimes the packaging is a little weird. But overall, I think as far as color, this sort of really light, pale, almost peachy pink is really my go-to. And again, similarly to the bronzer, this has a touch of glow to it. Like it definitely has a little luminosity without being like a blushy highlighter almost. And it's also not matte, so it's not one-dimensional. I feel like you're sensing a theme here. I really like stuff that has a little bit of glow, but not like too much glow. I like to save the glow for the highlighter, like the real intense glow. But as far as blushes go, this one has been a favorite. Like I really was nervous when Pat put out blushes because I just wasn't sure if I was gonna love the formula, wasn't sure how I was gonna feel about it, but these blushes have not let me down. They are stunningly beautiful, like 10 out of 10. Okay, next we have eyeshadow palettes, and this one was again kind of hard, but also kind of not. I feel a little weird because this palette is expensive, and the reason I actually didn't buy it for so long, I like really wanted this palette for a very long time, and I didn't buy it for a really long time because number one, I feel like this brand can sometimes be a little bit overhyped for the quality, and number two, it's fucking expensive. Like it's a very expensive palette. But then I vividly remember the moment I bought it because it was when I thought that Joe Biden had lost the presidential election, and I was sad. And then by the time it got to my house, he had won, and it was like a little celebration. And that is the Natasha Denona Biba palette. I know that it's a lot of money, and I'm not saying to like, oh, go spend when you can. Like, I know, but just like genuinely, this palette is just an everyday go-to. Like, it's so freaking good. The shades blend beautifully. The shimmers are gorgeous and pigmented. The reason I used to have a problem with Natasha, I'm gonna put it down here so the mirror's not blinding you. The reason I used to have a problem with a lot of Natasha Denona palettes is because I felt like the mattes were sort of so-so and the shimmers were what really shined. I almost feel the opposite about this palette. I feel like with this palette, the shimmers are good, but they're not as good as like the shimmers in the Gold palette or the Sunset palette. But the mattes, they're buttery smooth. They blend like an absolute dream. Like so easy to blend together, so easy to pair. Also, just in general, this color story is a very me color story. I feel like when you're doing this kind of tag or trend, eyeshadow is very personal because like we all have our personal preferences of what colors we would love. For me, this is like a neutral loving dream. Like you have your pukey oranges, your cream colors, so I could do a base easily, some really nice brown neutrals. You can deepen things up with not only the mattes, but also also with the shimmers. And just all in all, I have never once regretted buying this palette. It's one of those palettes, and I can't say this for all eyeshadow palettes because I feel like sometimes you're just not on your game and your eyeshadow game is like not great. I have bad eyeshadow days all of the time. Kind of feel like I'm having one right now. I always know that when I reach for this eyeshadow palette, I am going to absolutely love how my eyeshadow looks. And also that, again, it's going to be easy. They blend together so easy. You don't have to work to make this palette work for you. This is like the one Natasha Denona palette I've tried that I genuinely feel is like underrated. Like I don't think it gets enough hype for how amazing of a palette it actually is. Let's talk brows. So normally I feel like when I do videos like this, I cheat and I pick like 10 different brow products because I'm like, I use different things. Truly, this is like the one I just would go with. First of all, I would go with a brow gel. Where I went today, I paired this one. I did add a little bit of brow powder. I've been using the Rare Beauty brow powder duos a lot, and I've really been liking those. If I'm thinking like if I could only grab one thing from the brow sector in general, like pomades, powders, gel, eye pencils, like whatever, I'm grabbing a brow gel. Like that is what I'm going with, and specifically grabbing the Glossier Boy Brow. There was a time that I thought this product was really overrated. Like I just thought that people hyped it up way too much for what it was, especially when there were sort of cheaper alternatives that I thought were comparable. It wasn't until I started getting my brows professionally done, in the sense that I started getting them done by somebody whose goal is to like shape them. Like that is their goal, is to like fix them and shape them and like give them sort of something going on. And once I started having more brow hair at the end of my brows, because my brows used to be a lot further apart and they also used to be a lot more rounded. Now they're a little bit harsher in the front and a little bit closer together. And ever since I started working with that person and I've had more brow hairs in the front, also just like over here is a little bit thicker, I've noticed how much more I love this product, and like I get why people love it so much, because it really does give you a really brow-like, I know that's a weird thing to say, but it gives you a brow-like texture while still filling in sparse areas. A lot of brow gels that I've tried that I would compare this to in the past definitely worked the same when my brows were kind of a different shape, but now that they're a little bit more boxy and a little bit more angular and a little bit more like actually done, something like this works so amazingly well. I think it's truly the spoolie. The spoolie is just so small and dainty. You can see here. Spoolie is just so small and dainty in the sense that it's like short, but it's so thick. Like it's like a little Christmas tree. It's so thick, and it really helps you get in there and give you those brow-like strokes without having to go in with a brow pencil and like fill it in yourself. Pulls them together nicely without them looking sort of overdone. But yeah, this one's really good. The other one I also really love, I love the one from Benefit, the Gimme Brow. Also, Kosas has a really good brow gel that I also really enjoy. But I think this one just kind of beats it out because the brush is unique to me, and also it's just the one I grab for the most. I think ultimately this is the winner of the brow races. Next, mascara. Mascara changes for me frequently, but right now, in this moment in time, with how I like to do things, I think that I would rebuy and pick the Rare Beauty mascara, the newer one. It just is beautiful. Like that's the best way I can describe it. It's just really pretty. It makes your eyelashes look both full and separated at the same time, which is like my favorite kind of mascara that I can use. I am not a person who literally ever wears false eyelashes, like ever. I hate them. They're so uncomfortable for me. I think it's because I have astigmatism, but I could be making that up. But I hate false eyelashes. Being able to have a mascara that really just like layers super nicely, looks really pretty, separates everything, makes everything look a little bit more full. I love that. I also love too that it's not too dramatic. So again, you could really layer this on and do like 2 or 3 coats, and you could have it be like full out there, really eye-popping lashes, or you could do just 1 coat and everything's gonna look really separated and really pretty, but it'll be perfect for sort of an everyday look. That's why I think this one's so good. I have been loving a couple other ones right now. I have one from MAC that I really love. I have one from Patrick Ta that I really love, but ultimately I think this one just wears the best out of all of those. Like I find that there's not as much transfer. Again, crinkly eyes. I also rub my eyes a lot. You've heard this all before, literally in this video, but I find that with this one, out of all of the ones that I use on a kind of consistent basis right now, this is definitely the one that I see the least amount of transfer, and also the one that I still can like see it on my eyes at the end of the day. Like I sit down to take off my makeup and my mascara still looks like I just put it on when I use this product. And I also just love the way it makes my lashes look. So pretty, so full, separated. Fake lashes without needing fake lashes, okay? Okay, for highlighter, we have the Milk Flex highlighter. This shouldn't surprise anyone. This is always going to be, I think, my go-to. I just have not found one that beats it out yet. Very close to hitting pan right here, which makes me excited, but haven't found one that beats this out yet. This is usually one I gravitate towards and go towards the most. I actually think if I did lose all my highlighters, if I could only like rebuy one, and I rebought this, I don't know that I would be anxious to rebuy a ton of other highlighters. Like I'd probably want to rebuy a couple that I can think of off the top of my head, but this is absolutely my #1 highlighter and has been for a long time. It's just so stunningly reflective. I know. Do I even need to talk about why I love this? This is like a very pigmented swatch, obviously, so it's giving that like very reflective glow. You can absolutely tone this down. Like you can go less heavy-handed on it. You can make it a little less like in your face, bam. You can make it very sort of glow from within, or you can build it up to be this really heightened, nice look. And the other thing I love about this is even though it's definitely got a little bit of a sort of icy pinky hue to it, it doesn't translate that way. It sort of morphs almost like because of what color it is, it almost meshes into whatever other powders you have on your face. So it like meshes in with whatever blush I'm wearing, meshes in with whatever bronzer I'm wearing. It kind of just goes with the flow. I don't know how or why, but I find that I can pair this highlighter with quite literally any look and I will be very satisfied with how it looks. And the glow is just, I feel like it speaks for itself. Like it's just unreal how glowy and amazing and stunning this highlighter formula is. I cannot say enough good things about it. Like absolutely love it. Finally, lips. This was hard because I think when we're talking about this particularly, lips are like the one thing that I change out all of the time because it's heavily dependent on what makeup look I'm doing. And I really thought about this, but I felt like I have to go. Again, this is kind of a newer product, but I've just absolutely fallen in love with them. The Sigma Renew lip oils are phenomenal, like so good. All of them. I have all the shades. They actually sent these to me in PR. Full disclosure, they did send these to me, but I've been using them now for a few months. Every single shade they have in these is a hit. I love that it still has a level of pigment. So if I were doing like a full glam, for me personally, I think because I have smaller lips, if I do like a full glam and only a really light gloss that doesn't have any pigment to it, it just makes my lips almost look like they're disappearing. I need something when I do a full beat to have a little bit of pigment to it. So that's why I love this, but also it's not so hyper pigmented that it's gonna look weird or off if I were to pair this with like a more natural, light, everyday sort of look. This particular color is All Heart, and this is the one that has been in my purse. I grabbed it out of my purse. This is the one that's always in my purse, mostly because this is just kind of my go-to reapplication lipstick. Like it just goes with any look. I think that's why it's in my purse. It just goes with any look. Like I know that it's gonna look good with everything. The formula is really nice. You definitely do have to reapply it. Like it's not gonna stay, it's an oil. It's not gonna stay on all night like maybe a bullet lipstick or a liquid lipstick would, but I personally don't mind having to reapply glosses and oils because I just think they're way more comfortable on your face. Like right now I'm wearing a very matte lipstick, and even now I'm like feeling it. They start to get a little drying. I personally like something that's gonna be a little bit more hydrating, even if that means that I have to sacrifice lasting power. And also with the level of pigment this has, again, just looks good with everything. Like 10 out of 10, feel like this would be the good choice. So for if I only could have like one, it would be this one in this color. And with that, that is, if all my makeup was destroyed, what would I rebuy? I hope you guys liked and enjoyed this video. I hope you liked having a little bit of makeup content back in your lives. Let me know what you think about it down below. I love you guys so much. If you like this video, please like and subscribe, or just subscribe, or do neither. Honestly, just so happy you're here watching me. Thank you so much for being here. My merch, my social media, and everything I'm wearing on my face will be linked down below. I will also have all of the products linked in the little products tab that pops up on your screen somewhere. All of these will be linked. If I can't link them in the products, I'll link them down below so you guys can go check them out. And yeah, I love you guys so much, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!